Hey, Tim and Will Alden here. Today we're going to show you how to draw a belt pattern with our new stencils. We're really excited about these. We got 3 different lengths of flow line, 6 different leaves, and we have 6 different flowers. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is a 36-inch belt that we're going to draw the pattern on using our stencils. It'll be a combination of using the stencils, and I'm going to show you how we fill in the rest. It's our goal not to have you rely on our patterns, but for you to learn how to draw your own patterns. So we're really excited about this because it does a lot of the work for you, but it gives you an opportunity to start drawing your own patterns and learning how to lay out floral patterns. And if you hear a little kid in the background, that'd be Will. Anywho, say bye, Will. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, this design, we're going to run a border down our belt. And I do this even if I was just drawing this from scratch. And I didn't come up with this style of drawing belt patterns, but we did come up with the idea of these stencils. One thing that I really like about it, and as you get to see this, you know, even if you can draw your own patterns efficiently, the flow lines are going to be a game changer as far as laying out the basics. So we're just putting just a little under 1/4 of an inch border on this. And I cut my belts a little bit under 1.5 inches wide on a standard belt. That way when I carve it, it's going to be 1.5 inches when it's finished if it stretches a little bit. And so it's a 1/16 in under 1.5 inches, and our stencils are built on that same measurement. So if you cut your belt at a true 1.5 inches, you're going to have a little bit of leeway on the sides with the stencils, but this is something that I like to do in case you have a buckle that's pretty tight tolerance for 1.5 inches. So we're going to go ahead and mark our border out, and then I start at the tip and then I work my way back. And we're just going to start with one of these leaves that fits the front pattern pretty well. We're going to let it bump out of the border just a little bit in front, and the leaves, you'll see, do come out of the border a little bit. We use a 9B soft graphite pencil to draw these patterns on, and so we're just going to go here, and you got to keep it pretty sharp to get in these stencils. I looked around, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking for a mechanical 9B graphite pencil, but that would be even handier for getting around these stencils. So we got our first leaf drawn on there, and so we're going to go, we got a 6.5 inch sine wave, and you want the lettering to be facing up. If you can't read it, your sine wave is upside down and it's not going to work out right. So you want to keep that to where you can read that. So we got a 6.5, a 7.5, and a 7. We're going to go with an average sine wave. We're going to place that little slot where the next one would start, right up at the base of that leaf there. And that's your flow line where everything flows past that, and we'll actually end up putting a little sticker on the top side of this. We're just gonna, from this point, draw our flow line on here, and we're gonna do the whole thing. We're gonna line up that little slot right on the back side of that. And this is where it's gonna be a game changer, even for people that are comfortable drawing their patterns on. If you can lay out an evenly spaced flow line for a belt in just minutes, versus I usually measure out my distance and then I'll draw it on and then draw it on to point to point to point. But you'll erase trying to make sure that flow line is consistent through the whole thing and has a similar curve. And so you'll get in a habit of laying these out and knowing the direction of these transitions. So if you did have to draw your own flow line on to fit a particular pattern, you got the concept down. And so that is one of the things we're really excited about these patterns, and the ability for people to learn how to draw their own patterns, because we'd rather teach you to fish than give you a fish. So this is a 36-inch belt. It's going to work out pretty darn close here. We'll probably just have everything taper off, and it's going to stop right before the fold here. Here we have our entire flow line laid out on a belt in just about a minute or two. So I'm going to go back with different leaves, because I'm going to show you how to carve each one of these styles of leaves. It may not all be in one video, but we're going to break it up into sections, and we'll carve one section and then release that, and you can follow along and learn how to carve these patterns. So we're going to put the base of that leaf there, right where that flow line stops. Actually, I'm going to swap one of these out, just so we don't have 3 scalloped leaves and then 3 smooth leaves. I'm going to break this up a little bit. And so you can, if you wanted to do an entire pattern just leaves, you could flip that over and you could put a leaf here. We're going to put a flower in between each leaf, or you could do the same with your flowers. They'll fit here, but if you flipped your flower pattern, it would fit there as well if you wanted nothing but flowers in here. But we're just going to stick to our different leaf variations. That way we can roll through these and show you how to carve each one. As it works out on a 36-inch belt, we're just going to end up with the perfect amount of leaves. We can do each one of these for you. Okay, so we got all our lines on here, and our pencil's actually holding up pretty good. I don't know if you can see this here, but because it's a soft graphite pencil, it's wearing off the sides to where it just runs in the channel of these stencils pretty darn good. So we're going to go ahead and start plugging in our flowers here. And kind of the same deal here. We're just going to have the base of our flower approximately where this flow line rolls in here. You want it just lined up with your belt. You don't want to have it tipped like that. And if you do have a true 1.5-inch belt, you just want it centered in that channel, and these are going to work just fine. So we've actually we tried a bunch of different plastics for this stencil, and because you want them so thin and you want the cuts to be so thin, that we settled on one that's really durable, it's flexible, and we're pretty excited that they're going to last for you. Okay. So now we got our flow line and our flowers and leaves in here, and I'm going to show you how I fill this in. So it's going to take a little bit of practice. We're just going to do a simple pattern that's not too complicated for beginners learning how to draw, and hopefully you can follow along and start creating your own belt patterns. All right, so we got all of our leaves and our flowers and our flow line in. So we're going to start filling space. And because this flow line comes past this leaf, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to draw a little sticker in here. It kind of grows past. And then as we draw these in, if you want, you can go through and fill in those little gaps. I'm not going to, just because I know where we're at, but if it makes you feel better, you can do that. So we like this 1/8 inch flow line. It's a pretty good width for beveling. We're going to extend this stem just a little bit here on both of these, and then we're going to come in here with an element here coming towards our flow line. And it's going to come up, it's actually going to come under our leaf here. It's a little scroll element. And we're going to put a sticker right here. So you want this to taper off into here. And we're going to put the front of a sticker there. Push this line up a little higher first. And then on this other side, we're going to put a seed bud, that's what I call it, right in here. And then we're going to put a little acanthus leaf rolling right there. So we're going to have our flower stem kind of stop right here. We got just a tiny little bit of that base here, and then we're going to come in here, rolling back into that flow line. And come in with an element that fills that space right there. If you got a turn back, something that's kind of oblong shaped here. You want to leave yourself about 1/8 of an inch there, because you get these things too close, they're going to be hard to bevel. We're going to put a nice big sticker right there, and then we're going to put the front of a sticker there. And so this border runs right here. So that's basically growing out there. We're just going to keep it simple for these designs. Put a seed bud here. We're just going to throw a sticker in here. If you use these bigger elements that are rolling up under this leaf, it just fills a lot more space, and this can be an awkward space to fill. If you were going to run a sticker up in there, it'd have to be a really big sticker. And so anywho, we're just going to plant those scrolls right up under that leaf. It would actually be kind of up in that range there. We're not going to cut that in because it's going to be under the leaf, but it's a good way to fill this space here. And we can draw that down a little bit. We can draw that down a little bit there. So we're going to have an elements stencil as well. The elements aren't necessarily going to fit into this flow line, but they're good to practice and teach you how to draw these elements. On the front of a sticker there. The more background you have, just the more open and spindly these lines will look. And so whenever we can fill that space, if we didn't have a border here, we would need to put the back side of that backbone, but the backbone is kind of covered up by the border in that element. You'll see it a little bit better when we tool this out. So here we're going to start in with an acanthus to fill this corner here. Got a little bit bigger stretch, and it depends on what leaf and what flower you use, or what flow line you use, how you fill the space. The bigger the flow line, the longer and more drawn out the lines are going to be. Put a little turn back right here. Let's see here. Kind of getting a little spindly there. And go ahead, just put 2 stickers in here. So the rule of thumb with these stickers is, so this one has to pass the next one until at least this one starts to get your taper. Same with this, it has to come down under the next one to where that. Otherwise, if we just cut that off right there, it's going to look really stumpy and open. And the longer these lines are that we can draw them out, the more flow this is going to have. A little bud in here, and everything tapers back to that point of origin where it flows through here. A little acanthus there. So the shorter the sine wave, kind of the easier these patterns are to draw for beginners, because you have a shorter distance to fill and you don't have to have as long of lines. So that's something to consider. You don't have to be as conscious of where this draws to and where this is going to all flow into. The long lines definitely make something a lot quicker when you're tooling. Short little runs and more flowers and leaves are going to add time. Put a little turn back element here. Kind of rolling back. that line comes down and touches this border. Kind of do a fiddlehead's fern type element. Rolling up in there. Go ahead and do two bigger elements here. If you wanted to, you could really, roll around here and draw this element out to fill some space. Cross the border just a little bit. Sometimes if I pull something big across here, kind of nice to have something on the other side opening up as well. Nice round little turn back there. Draw that out to the point of origin. An okay silversmith that I know always says, feel free to cut it better than I draw it. I don't worry about all my lines being absolutely perfect, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm far better with my swivel knife than I actually am a pencil, believe it or not. And the way this petal rolls back here, we can get away with throwing just a sticker in there. Throw another one here. Put part of an acanthus in there. It's going to fill that space a little bit better. shorten that up there. Carve a little patch where that shoots out from, and there you have a entire belt pattern drawn directly on the leather. So we basically went a little bit slower trying to make sure you can see what's going on here, and honestly it's a little difficult to draw and get things in a position where you can see what I'm doing here, but the raw footage is 26 minutes on drawing in all the stickers and everything that goes with this. So basically you could draw an entire belt pattern in 30 minutes. Pretty darn quick, and you can change up the elements and make it unique for each customer, and kind of a cool deal, and it's going to force you to learn how to draw. So we really appreciate you stopping by for this. Hope you guys like this product. We're going to stop it right here, and we're going to come back and we're going to release each one of these sections as a YouTube video, doing the different leaves and the different elements, and we'll carve this belt out, and if there's somebody out there with 36-inch waist that wants to buy it, we'll probably have it for sale. So thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.